Hello everyone and welcome to My Pink Bathtub Knits. I'm going to share with you a fun tutorial today how you can take this basic child's mitten and turn it into a piggy. And the bonus part about it is using the exact same pieces, you can also turn it into a doggy with just a few adjustments. So let's get started. Step 1, knit a mitten. This mitten pattern is not mine, but I am going to share the link below. And the pattern is from Tin Can Knits, the world's simplest mitten pattern. Now you can make this in various sizes, and what you're going to do for this demonstration is the smaller size of needles that you use to rib the cuff with are the same size needles that you're going to knit the ears and the snout for the pig. So we're going to start by knitting one of the ears. And we're just going to put 6 stitches on a double pointed needle. We're going to cast on 6 stitches. I sell my mittens at markets, and this particular pattern is very popular. I also make it in adult size mittens, which I will show you at the end of the tutorial and share with you the pattern that I use for those. The first row, we are going to purl all those stitches. Turn our work. Now we are going to knit, slip, knit, pass over. You're going to knit 2 together, and you're going to knit, and now you have 4 stitches on your needle. Turn your work. We're going to purl a row. I mean, that's a very awkward position that I'm in for you to see the camera. Hopefully it works out okay for you guys. Turn our work. With our last 4 stitches, we are going to slip, knit, pass over, and then knit 2 together. And we're going to cut our yarn. And we're going to pull the thread through the 2 live stitches. Okay, we have 2 ears. Let's attach them. It's hard to tell on this, but this is the right side of the work. This is the wrong side of the work, the bumps. And what we want to do is we want to have it curled forward like this. So how I do this is I have the wrong side of the work facing me. I hold it down in front of where I want to stitch it on. So this is the right side of the work. And I'm just going to hand stitch this onto the mitten. And to put it inside of the mitten, the one tail, and pull it into the inside because I'm going to secure it later from the inside. Then I'm going to turn, this is the back of the pig, and I'm just going to reinforce it and go that way. And we're going to push this piece of thread inside the pig as well, inside of the mitten. And we are going to secure it from the inside. How I do this is I just kind of loosely stitch it through a few of the loops to get them closer together. And I'm going to tie them. Knot it really well. And then cut off the excess. Number 1. Let's put the next ear onto the pig. Now, later on in this tutorial, I'm going to share with you the slight differences that you need to do to make a dog out of this exact same pattern with just a few variations. One of them, of course, being the color that you're using to knit with. This transformation into animals are my original patterns. I've never seen anybody sell anything like this on Etsy or at markets. So these are for personal use only, these suggestions on how to turn this into a pig. If for some reason you want to sell your products and you're going to be posting them on social media, I do ask that you give me, as the designer for the pattern, there is no written pattern for how to turn this into a pig, simply because of the fact that the mitten pattern itself is not my original design. As you can tell in this video, I am giving credit to the mitten pattern to Tin Can Knits, who are the designers of the actual mitten. All I'm doing is changing it into an animal. So we're just securing it, hand stitching this on the ears. The tricky part may be for some is the snout, because we are going to be using 4 double pointed needles to knit the snout in the round. This took a little while for me to perfect these mittens to make them into animals. I do have a playlist linked below for the mittens. I currently have the fox mittens in the playlist, which shows you how to make the ears for the fox. And these can also be turned into kitten mittens quite easily using the same ears. So here are the ears. You can see they're kind of leaning forward, which is what you want for the pigs. For the snout, you do need 4 double pointed needles. Using 2 of the needles, we are going to cast on 6 stitches. Okay, 6 stitches. Now we are going to put 2 stitches on each double pointed needle. This is the little bit of the tricky bit. I sometimes still have a bit of an issue holding it until it gets secure. So there's 2 on each. We're going to flip it over. This is going to be the beginning. You may want to use a stitch marker in between the first 2 stitches, which have the tail, to keep track of where your beginning of the round is. Now what we're going to do is we have 6 stitches. We are going to knit front and back into each stitch for the first round. And you will end up having 4 stitches on each needle for a total of 12. So now we have 12 stitches on our 3 needles, 4 on each needle. Our next round is going to be knit all around. Once you do the first row, usually the working in the round is much easier to hold on to and control. This does make a nice little circle, which is what we need for the snout of the animal. Our next round now, we're going to increase again. We are going to knit 1, knit front and back all the way around. So we're starting with 12 stitches, 4 stitches on each needle, and we're going to be ending with 18 stitches, 6 stitches on each needle. So we're going to knit, knit front and back, knit, knit front and back, all the way around. Okay, so now we have 18 stitches all together. We are going to do one more round of just pure knitting, and then we are going to cast off. And I'll show you the button placement and how to attach it onto the mitten for the pig. And that is, my friends, how to make a This Little Piggy Went to Market mitten. Now we are going to cast off our 18 stitches in the round. We're going to knit 2 stitches. We're going to pull the outside stitch over the second knit stitch, and we're just going to keep doing that all the way around. Try to do it a little looser if you can, because it will kind of curl up. And now we have 1 stitch left. And what I always do is I go to the very first stitch. I just pick this up and I knit this one as well. And then pull this over. Now you're going to want a really long tail because you need to sew it all the way around to attach it to the mitten. And you're going to pull that tail through the live stitch to secure it. And I'm just going to stitch it through for an extra Now the middle part here, we are going to just stitch this closed, and then we're going to add buttons on it. Let's turn over the back, just stitch it closed. You kind of want to make sure that the front of it looks nice still. No fancy way to do this. Just secure it quite a few times, and then we are going to snip off the excess. And the next thing is to do buttons. I always like to put the buttons on before I stitch it onto the mitten because it's much easier to work through than to work through the actual mitten. You will see when we do the eyes how challenging it can be. So I've got a couple of very small buttons for the snout. Got my thread. Okay, I found these teeny tiny little buttons on Amazon. And as you can see, when we do the snout, we're just going to put one on either end. Kind of in the middle, but a little bit higher up. So you're just going to put it in through the back. And doing it like this prior to attaching it to the mitten is so much easier. Trust me, I learned the hard way. So you want to do it several times. And what I do, because they are relatively close together, is I'm just going to kind of whip it through here at the back a little bit to bring it to the opposite side. And attach the second button. I don't put the eyes on until the very end. So here we have the snout. Now let's attach it to our pig. We're just going to take a wool needle and we are literally just going to stitch this on the top all the way around. Just want to kind of line it up that it's going to be roughly the same. And I know it's curling up here, but we will fix that problem when we start stitching it around. Again, it's just hand stitching through this way on the stitch. We're not going to go from the inside out. I find that this makes it very secure because we go around twice. That is why we want an incredibly long tail to make it around a couple times. These are relatively easy to do. All of my animal patterns are, and just watch for the near future. There will be more put up. Next week, I'm planning to do chicken mittens in the adult size and the toddler size. And then the following week, I'm going to do the toddler mittens, the bluebirds, and the ducks. And then we'll figure out from there what we want to do. I do have a teddy bear pattern. I don't make them very often. And I do have a brand new polar bear pattern, but I haven't really, I'm not 100% happy with it as of yet. So I do not want to share something that I haven't yet perfected. So we're going to go all the way around. I know this looks smaller, but it will flatten out. Sometimes I feel this finishing work to turn it into an animal takes almost as long as knitting the mitten itself. We've gone all the way around once. You can see it's kind of puckered up. Now we want to go around and flatten it out more. I'm going to go the opposite direction. So you see how I went through this one? I'm going to pick this separate, the stitch beside it, and go through it. You can really just stitch it on any way you like. You see. The final step on these is to put the eyes on. And this can be tricky if it's a small size mitten. Got the two here, the two buttons here, and this is what really brings the animal to life, in my opinion, is when you attach the eyes. And this is also the biggest thing I procrastinate with, is the buttons. So I want to fold in at least half of it so I can get my hand inside the mitten securely, because quite often I will sew it right through the mitten, and that's no fun. See if I can actually do it without doing that. Now we're just going to put it along the side of the snout, secure it a couple times this way. Catch the needle with your hand on the inside of the mitten. You can always just hand stitch with black thread or black yarn a pair of eyes onto it. I personally like the buttons. I just think they look a little more higher end. You're just going to thread it through several times until you feel it is very nice and secure. Put the mitten inside out, and we are going to stitch it this way several times. One more to go. For me, the buttons are always the final step when I'm doing animal mittens. And I also am always surprised how much it brings the mitten to life just by sewing on the buttons at the end and creating the eyes and the nostril. And there you have it, piggy mittens. Can you believe I took this and turned it into this? You can too. I always include mitten clips with my toddler size mittens. So these are ready to go to market. I attach my business card. With the care instructions on the back of it. And done. Do you want to see what my adult size pig mittens look like? Now this pattern is the Bella's Mittens pattern, which was from the movie Twilight. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I will link it below. So the cable is it's all done in the same size needle. So you are going to be doing the ears and the snout exactly like I just showed you with the toddler ones. You're just going to place them appropriately. Now we are going to take the exact way that you made the ears and the snout and turn it into a dog. Obviously, by changing the color, you can change the type of animal, and we just have to put the nose in a different location than the nostrils, and we need to add a tongue, and we've got a puppy dog. So let's finish him up. I've already done the ears, and I've already knit the snout. All we have to do is sew on the button at the middle of the top part of the snout for the nose of the dog, and I'll show you how to make a tongue, and we've got a twofer, a 2-in-1 pattern to make 2 different types of animals. I don't know how I came up with this, to be honest. I just kind of looked at it, I looked at the shaping, and I thought, man, I could probably make a dog with this using the same type of concept, and it ended up working out really great for me. Oh, maybe I should get in the middle of the screen. I apologize. This video might be a bit of a dog's breakfast by the time we're done with it. I hope that the angle is okay and I actually post this because it's been a little challenging. We're now going to stitch the snout onto the mitten exactly how we did it here. Cast on 3 stitches onto your needle. Pull that little guy out. So you have 3 stitches. You're going to purl the 3 stitches. Turn your work. I'm going to knit the 3 stitches. Turn your work. Now you're going to purl 2 together and purl 1 till you have 2 stitches left on your needle. Cut yourself a long tail because that's what we do here. And you're going to thread the tail through the 2 live stitches. We're going to put it here on the opposite side. Literally go to the opposite end of the top of the tongue, and we're just going to kind of go like this, so then it's going to be more closed and curled in. And if you like how it looks, you're just going to stick it inside of the mitten. Pull the one through. And pull the other one through. Tie these together in a knot securely and trim. And I will not torture you or me doing this, is we're going to put 2 buttons on either side of the snout to make the eye. And that's how you turn this into this. I also have mitten clips for this guy too. Next week we are going to do chicken mittens. We will do a tutorial for both of these because the beak is different. So if you're interested in doing something like this, stay tuned, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me.